Next on Investigative Report, the science of love, secrets to communicating with the opposite gender. Isn't it interesting how when we start dating, we have fun conversations online late at night. We connect in romantic places where time flies, or at cozy dinner tables in restaurants. However, as time goes on, our communication often becomes confusing. This can lead to ignoring each other's needs and feelings, creating a distance that feels like someone is not paying attention. And now, the science of love, secrets to communicating with the opposite gender. Welcome to part 2 of the science of love. If you follow along this far in this 4-part series, I congratulate you. You are enduring and wanting to understand what makes relationships work. Now, many people start relationships based on physical attraction or sex. But the real challenge is deepening connection so you want to come home to that person after work instead of going to a bar or, as many guys do, sit in the car for hours fearing going in the house. Now, to achieve this, you need to ask 3 other types of love along with erotic love to help your relationship last. So these must be added into the original Eros love. Now, I used to say on the radio that if your relationship is better in the horizontal position than the vertical position, you don't have a relationship. So what I meant was that if you're good in bed, but you 2 guys go in the living room and you bicker and you can't communicate, then you don't have a relationship at all. You see, the next level for Leah that we're going to is all about communication. So out of 4 loves, this is where I excel. I started my journey in this area back in the early 1990s, during a tough time in my own relationship. You see, I discovered the transformative power of love, which put me on the right track. And it helped me get everything I ever wanted in love. You see, one afternoon, as my wife and I were getting ready for the night out, we were going to go out this particular night, I reflected on why couples often struggle to get along. I was thinking, why can't men and women get along? Suddenly it struck me. It washed over me. It was that couples don't treat each other like friends. I jumped out of the tub that night and I asked my wife if it was true that women often style each other's hair while sitting on the floor as friends. She agreed. I then wondered, why don't women do the same thing for men? I asked her this aloud. She looked at me puzzled and replied, I don't know. So I shared my insight from the bathtub and I wanted to test it out. At first, I thought traditional counseling was mainly for people who didn't have religious belief. I thought most average people had problems. However, I discovered that many couples who came to see me did have some kind of faith. This changed how I approach helping them, especially since divorce rates show similar patterns that more religious people have higher divorces. A Baylor University study suggests U.S. statistics showing that many divorces involve people from various religious backgrounds who believe in a higher power. Now, this shouldn't happen. If it's that way, then what do people have that's not religious? If one's supposed to teach about positive love and they fail, what chance do we have, right? So I thought that if friendship could help fix failing relationships, I needed to find evidence of this in the Bible so that I could help them too. So after some research, I remember Genesis 2:24, which says, Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his bride, and they shall become one flesh. So the 2 shall become one flesh. Now I knew this verse well, but I sensed that its true meaning held a solution to relationship issues, one that was overlooked. It had to be overlooked. I also believe I could share my discovery and speak about it publicly. So if this was true about being friends better in a marriage, this is going to make history. So let's break it down. The key word here is cleave. That's in the verse. Now, tracing its origins, I found it means friendship. So I dug deep into the definitions as if it were a prize in the woods. I was living in Baltimore County at the time in Maryland in a largely Jewish community, but I wasn't Jewish myself, nor was my wife. Now, since the Old Testament is largely based on the Jewish Torah, I decided to reach out to a knowledgeable rabbi at a local temple. Now, I asked him personally is the English word cleave translated to the Hebrew word meaning friendship in the Torah. Now, he wasn't sure, but promised to call me back after checking. So he was going to, what is called consult the Torah. So that's when you open up the Torah and you do study. Now, surprisingly, he called me back in less than 15 minutes. I couldn't believe it. This is something I thought was going to take a long time. So my heart raced when he confirmed that the Hebrew word is devekut, which does mean friendship, but a deeper connection than what is typically seen on the street. So I was thrilled. And I had something significant to share. I was right. It was friendship that was missing in marriage. So, to add context, if you relate the word devekut to God in the Torah, it refers to a close relationship with Him. However, in the context of a man and a woman, it means being closely bonded friends. So friendship. This insight could help both religious and secular couples understand the value of friendship. So, like I said before, we started in eros, that's sexual love, romantic love. Now we're at philia love, which the Greeks call friendship love. So next I realized I needed to present this simple item for couples of faith. Here are the essence of Genesis 2:24 as I broke it down. In English it says, a man shall leave the life he had with his parents, join with his bride, who he befriends, and over time they will become one flesh. So I symbolized it. Then before and after learning this, I often heard scholars misinterpret the phrase, become one flesh. Many believe this means just wearing a wedding ring. As soon as you get married, you're one flesh. Others say it refers to a sexual relationship after marriage, which also misses the point. The word become indicates that this happens gradually in a committed relationship. Become is something that is done over time. I could ask you to cross a room to meet me, but I couldn't ask you to be on the opposite side instantly because that action takes time. I can't say, become across this room. No, that's an overtime action. So in that verse, they'll become closer over time, not immediately. In marriage, it also takes time for couples to become one flesh after the husband befriends the wife. This command may seem contrary to nature, as men often view women primarily as potential mates. However, the architect of this verse understood that approaching her or the girl this way within a committed relationship would encourage her to open up like a flower. So this was for a reason, not just a chore. If you want a woman to open up a relationship, it says befriend her. Now, I'll tell you today, I don't idealize relationships because I understand they work behind closed doors, especially when lacking communication. Poor communication can lead to misunderstandings that spark arguments lasting anywhere from, if you've been married, a day to 3 weeks to half a year. Now, couples may find themselves sleeping in separate rooms or sleeping with separate people in a form of a punishment for one another, which is weird. We're going to have sex with somebody else better than we do with each other. It's weird. Now, it's not uncommon for dishes to be broken or doors to be punched in during these conflicts. Meanwhile, many people put on a smile when they leave home, pretending that everything is fine despite their internal struggles. So it is a main thing of public pretense that also damages relationships. So if this resonates with your relationship, it might indicate that romance has faded and it's time to cultivate a deeper connection based on philia love, because relationships will end if they're just based on erotic love. This kind of love can help resolve the standstill caused by miscommunication. Now, additionally, philia love can enhance erotic love because it allows partners to openly communicate their preferences and desires in the bedroom without fear of judgment. So if you're better friends with your girl, you could tell her, I like this position. She could tell you, I like that position. I never liked when we did it this way. You see? So you have to have communication even for that. Philia love is among the most powerful forces in the world. It serves as a glue that holds relationships together. Without it, all other forms of love can falter, and they will falter. This is the kind of enduring love typically seen in couples who have been married for 50 to 70 years. Now, while governments often track divorce rates, they frequently overlook how much those numbers are influenced by the lack of philia in relationships. So if relationships have a lack of friendships, they will fail. As time passes, in a long-term loving partnership, physical appearances may and will fade. And the ability to accumulate wealth might diminish. But the importance of strong communication remains vital and everlasting. And if you understand this portion of the 4-part series, you will have the power to fix any relationship. You have the power to be with your mate until death do you part, because this is the most important part. Now, during my 36-year relationship with my wife, I developed a strong expertise in this area, which led to opportunities in magazine, radio, and television. In fact, I pioneered many techniques that I would like to share with you. One such technique is a question I created for a book I was writing for couples over 3 decades ago. Now, this question was designed for both men and women who came to me counseling, asking me to show them how their relationship could be more than just routine physical intimacy used to resolve arguments. So that sort of thing, which is called makeup sex. I've always thought that was stupid, because the only thing you're making up is an erotic relationship. It's going to falter again. There's no such thing. Now, the techniques I developed worked equally well for both men and women, helping them see their partner as a human being rather than merely a source of income or physical beauty. So if you can learn this part, you got it. Now, this shift in perspective is essential if we plan to share our lives in the same space with someone. Before discussing what our brains tell us about philia love, I'm going to get to that in a minute, in comparison to the Greeks' understanding of it without the benefit of modern brain imaging. So the Greeks knew this without brain imaging. So I invite you to consider a crucial question that I posed for couples who came to me seeking help. These couples often pointed fingers at each other. He did it, she did it, I'm good, they're bad. And I knew that I couldn't make any progress if they viewed one another as enemies instead of friends. Because once somebody goes to counseling, they come to you crossed-armed. And it takes a while to uncross those arms and have them lean forward and listen. So as you ponder this question, keep in mind your best friend, somebody you have a best friend in life. Think of the name of this person and insert it in the blank space when you see the question that we put on the screen.
You're watching MNN, the men's channel.
This could be your current best friend or someone you've known since you were a child. Someone with whom you probably shared over 20 years of your life long before you met your spouse or girlfriend. Now consider the following question. You can read it along with me. If my spouse were, insert the person's name here, my best friend in the world, would I be able to treat them the way I do now, or would I need to change my behavior? Now, if you are at all honest with yourself, you realize you need to change your behavior. Why? Friendships are based on loving relationships that cannot handle the conflicts often seen in dating and marriage. If you treated your partner like you treat your spouse, what would they do? They will walk right out the door and never see you again. This is why loved ones feel hurt when they don't receive the same kind of philia love from us that we easily give to others. So you see, I want to share an important observation that would take even further. Everyone I've talked to, whether in person, on the radio, or during counseling, has agreed that they need to change. Can you believe that? It's amazing. So not only developed a friendship course, I developed this question that worked for everybody. This includes both men and women. Many of whom recognize this in front of their spouses. A woman actually said it out of her mouth. I would have to change. So like I said, when I asked the question, I found that both men and women saw their own faults and knew how to improve their relationship. Why? Because they had experience. Friendship is in us. It's in our brain. Use the same thing using your friend on your mate. You see, we all know how to improve our relationships because we instinctively understand friendships. You don't need special training how to treat your partner. You just treat them like you do your friend. Now, I was surprised to learn that before asking this question. I didn't know many women admitted they treated their girlfriends better than their husbands, while men recognized they treated their friends better than they treated their wives. You see, couples don't treat each other the same way because they're not trying to hurt each other purposely. See, friendships and romantic relationships should be different. That's what they believe. This belief helps explain why a friendship can last over 20 years or more, while many marriages struggle to last 2 years or relationships struggle to last past a month. As I mentioned earlier, filial love is very powerful. If it isn't, then why have you known your friend over 20 years sideways? How many relationships do you know that can last that long that are opposite gender? Now, with filial love, a friend might ask you to change their tire in the middle of the night in a pouring down rain. A woman might have another woman sit at her bedside in hospital while she dies slowly, but she will sit there until she passes away. Now, that is the power of friendship because they are the same gender. They are friends for life. But you can also be friends with the opposite gender in a relationship. Outside a relationship, that's something different. See, my main goal was to encourage couples to treat each other as well as they treat their friends. Everyone has a good behavior in them, but often they direct that towards the wrong people. This leads us to philias love, which means the love between friends. The Greeks understood that people feel love in different ways. Professor Caroline Parkinson, a psychologist at UCLA, found that the brain has a specific area for friendship that is separate from the area for physical love. Now, the key to practicing filial love or friendship is to be mindful of your actions. If you find yourself changing or flipping your behavior rather than checking your partner, it's important to correct yourself. That's what I taught couples, because sometimes you'll slip. Instead of checking them, check yourself. Ask yourself, why am I treating them different than I would my best friend or anybody else? Just like in any true friendship, cultivating filial love requires the effect of both people involved, not one. So don't just put it on them. It involves two people.
I hope y'all don't mind if I get a little loose.
Hey, pull the deuce out.
I don't know why they acting like they don't know. Let's go. Can't nobody hold us down. Can't nobody take my crown. My mic, my light, my sound. What you talking about? I run this town. Invincible like rocket. Can't name none of one of y'all stop me. Or not me. Or rock me. Just sit back and love me. Chop me. If you hear me and you feel me, let me hear you say who rock the best. You rock the best. Thank you. If you hear me and you feel me, let me hear you say who rock the best. You rock the best. Gratitude. If you hear me and you feel me, let me hear you say who rock the best. You rock the best. Right on. If you hear me and you feel me, let me hear you say who rock the best. You rock.
Now let's explore the brain science behind it. Scientists have identified specific areas in our brain that are directly related to the love of friendship. Our interactions with others can change brain activity. Now, our brains adapt both on who we are around. By understanding this, you can reprogram your brain through this experience with friends. So a lot of people have experience of turning an enemy into a friend, the same in a relationship. Nurturing strong friendship activates significant regions in our brain, including the ventral striatum, the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the ventral medial prefrontal cortex. These areas illuminate the joy and rewarding connection of emotional bonding, memory sharing, and mutual understanding, creating a beautiful and uplifting feeling that stems from true friendship. And if you have a friend for life, or you had a friend in childhood, you know you guys shared everything together. You got in trouble together, you went up together in life, you went down together, but you supported each other. So let me share one of three main insights from 30 years of experience. The four types of love, eros, philia, storge, and agape, can only be experienced simultaneously with one person in a committed relationship, or must be experienced separately with four different people. For example, you might have a central relationship with someone that represents eros love. In a separate relationship, you could treat your best friend with respect, showcasing philias love. If you are raising your children as a single parent, that embodies storge's love. Finally, participating in a religious or spiritual gathering with friends falls under agape's love. So the brain actually lights up in four distinct areas for these loves, which means we change in the presence of four different people. Now, experiencing the four types of love within the same body outside of a relationship is close to a psychological definition of conformity, or whoever you're around. Yet it is a norm in society. We are taught to change who we are based upon what environment we are engaging people. So people end up seeing us as phonies. However, having all these loves is typically only possible in a man-woman relationship. Now, while a central relationship is fulfilling, having the same type of central relationship with a friend ruins that relationship, right? Sex ruins a friendship. So discussing storge love in this context may create further complications. Additionally, displaying sensual behavior in a religious or social setting is often frowned upon. So in summary, you can only experience all four loves with one relationship or separately across four distinct environments. To recap, you could have a sensual relationship with your partner. So you guys could be romantic and sexual together, right? You could be their best friend. You can share a child together, like storge love, and attend a spiritual or religious event together, which is agape love. So you can do all those four things. Now, even though these loves cross four barriers, there'll be no offense as it would be mixing these categories in another relationship. Now, the second insight I'll give you, and I want to share with you, is that society often holds a mistaken belief that only females have emotions. This is funny. In reality, men experience emotions just as deeply. Both genders constantly navigate through various love cycles, moving up and down this emotional pyramid, perhaps 50 times a week, often subconsciously. There are moments when your brain may lead your body to feel erotic, while at other times, you might feel the pull towards the comfort of friendship. You may also crave the company of your children, particularly when they're not being bothersome, and long for connection with family or spirituality, an agape sense. So our brains change before we actually change. So sometimes when you think you get motivation and it's yourself, it's actually your brain has changed a cycle. Finally, the third insight necessary for any relationship is that if you notice stress in your partnership, it usually means that you and your partner have remained at one level of for too long. You become stagnant. So it's essential to transition to another level, even if only temporarily. Now, I observe religious couples so focused on holiness. What did it say? You're so heaven focused, you're no earthly good. That these couples neglect their central relationship. Well, I've also seen central couples who have arguments that lacking a kind of emotional connection through agape love. So I recommend that they shift where they are. So sort of like that song, when I move, you move. This means that if one person in a relationship shifts to a different level of love, that the other person should follow suit without waiting for any kind of special invitation. So if you guys have having too much erotic love for too long, and it's caused strife, move to the next highest level. Move to friendship level. You've been in friendship too long, move to another level, up or down. You see, when we value a strong friendship, it activates incredible areas of our brain. The ventral striatum, the amygdala, like I said before, the hippocampus, and the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. These areas light up, showcasing the joy and rewards of connection. Like I said, emotional bonding, shared memories, and understanding one another. It's the only love that you can understand one another. This brain activity contributes to beautiful and uplifting feelings that come from genuine friendship. How many memories do you have from childhood with your friends? You guys share the same music together. You share the same clothes together. You share the same hair. Sometimes your hair was up. Sometimes it was down. Sometimes it was no hair. You see, when two male friends enjoy each other's company, a specific part of their brain lights up, indicating their connection and camaraderie, which has nothing to do with romantic love. Similarly, when two female friends spend time together, the same region of the brain becomes active. This reaction explains why we often turn to our friends for support after an argument or breakup rather than seeking a comfort from a romantic partner. So we don't go to our partner, we go to our friends and say, oh, this person is so bad. So once you enhance your relationship at the philia level, you will be in a better position to progress to storge level. So as I said before, these levels increase. So relationship gets better if you climb, not if you remain the same. So to improve your relationship, to change in your perception of your partner, from someone who is simply there to serve you to someone who is genuinely your friend. You see, a healthy relationship that thrives is similar to a friendship with added benefits, or what we know as friends with benefits. You can have this in your own home. Remember to give your partner the same grace you would a friend. Allow them to make mistakes without complaining. So when you ride down the road, if your friend has their foot on your dashboard, you don't say anything. But if your girl has her foot on the dashboard, you say, hey, get your feet off my dashboard, right? So if I ask you how many arguments you and your friends have had in a year compared to how many fights you had with your partner, what would your answer be? Those fights come from because we treat people as enemies when we're in their presence.
And we're clear.